It was supposed to be a celebratory dinner, a chance for me to finally meet Ryan's work friends. Instead, it became the night my life turned into a dumpster fire, all thanks to a man I thought I loved. And then, in front of everyone, Ryan dumped me, told me I should be grateful he even dated me, and left me with the bill. I should have seen it coming. I'll never forget the moment I realized how completely and utterly I'd been played. Hi, everyone. I'm Sabrina, and I'm so glad you're here. I'm still trying to process everything that happened, and honestly, sharing this story feels like a weight off my chest. If you're listening, please drop a comment below and tell me where you're tuning in from. It's always nice to know I'm not alone in these crazy experiences. The restaurant was upscale, the kind of place where the silverware cost more than my weekly grocery budget.
Ryan, ever the showman, had insisted on it. He talked about this dinner for weeks, building it up like some sort of coronation ceremony where I would finally be introduced as his, well, I thought his girlfriend. We'd been dating for almost a year filled with what I now realize were carefully constructed illusions. Ryan always presented himself as a successful, ambitious guy. He was a senior manager at a prestigious consulting firm. He drove a fancy car, and he always wore impeccably tailored suits. He painted a picture of a life that was just within my reach, a life I could share if I just tried hard enough. I was a paralegal working my way through night school, dreaming of becoming a lawyer. Ryan seemed to admire my ambition, my drive. Now I know he was just using it. The dinner started off normally enough.
Ryan introduced me to his colleagues. David, a quiet, unassuming guy who seemed genuinely nice. Sarah, a sharp-tongued woman who looked me up and down with thinly veiled disdain. And Cody, a friendly, slightly awkward guy with a nervous smile. The conversation flowed, mostly about work projects and office gossip. I tried to contribute, but I couldn't help feeling like an outsider. They all spoke a language I didn't quite understand, a language of corporate jargon and inside jokes. Then, as the appetizers arrived, the mood shifted. Ryan started acting strangely, his charm replaced by a cold, almost cruel indifference. He interrupted me mid-sentence, dismissed my opinions, and generally treated me like I was invisible. I tried to brush it off, attributing it to nerves or stress, but then he made a toast. "To new beginnings," he said, raising his glass.
And to realizing when something just isn't working. I looked at him, confused. What do you mean? He smirked, a nasty, self-satisfied smirk that I will never forget. I mean, Sabrina, that this isn't working. You're nice, I guess. But you're not really my type. I deserve someone better. Someone who understands my world. The room went silent. I felt my face flush with humiliation. His colleagues stared at me, a mixture of pity and discomfort on their faces. "Ryan," I stammered. "What are you doing?" "I'm being honest," he said, his voice dripping with condescension. "Something you should try sometime. Look, I've been meaning to do this for a while. It's just, you're a sweet girl, but you're not going anywhere in life, and I need someone who can keep up with me." He actually said those words.
I sat there, stunned, as he continued his tirade, listing my supposed flaws and shortcomings. He criticized my clothes, my job, my dreams. He said I was holding him back, that I was a burden. It was brutal, calculated, and utterly humiliating. Finally, he finished, took a sip of his wine, and looked at me expectantly. "So, yeah, I think we're done here." I couldn't speak. I was too shocked, too hurt, too angry. Tears welled up in my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. I wouldn't give him the satisfaction. He stood up. "Well, I'm off. I have important things to do. The bill's on you, Sabrina. Consider it payment for all the time I wasted on you. And honestly, you should be grateful I even dated you in the first place." With that, He turned and walked out of the restaurant, leaving me alone with his stunned colleagues and the very large bill.
David looked like he wanted to say something, but he just shook his head and avoided my gaze. Sarah smirked, as if she'd been expecting this all along. Only Cody seemed genuinely upset. Huh. I'm so sorry, Sabrina, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. He's not usually like this. I just nodded, trying to compose myself. I reached for my purse, my hands shaking. The bill was over $300, an exorbitant amount for someone on my budget. But I paid it, determined to maintain some semblance of dignity. I thanked Cody for his sympathy, ignored Sarah's smug expression, and left the restaurant, my head held high. That night I didn't sleep. I replayed the scene in my head over and over again, each time feeling a fresh wave of anger and humiliation. How could I have been so blind? How could I have fallen for such a manipulative, arrogant jerk?
The next morning, I was still reeling from the previous night's events. I decided to call Vanessa, my best friend since kindergarten. I needed to vent, to get a second opinion, to just hear a friendly voice. He did what? Vanessa shrieked when I told her the story. That low-life, narcissistic pig. I knew there was something off about him. I never liked him. Vanessa had always been skeptical of Ryan, but I had dismissed her concerns as jealousy. Now, I realized she had been right all along. I feel like such an idiot, I said, my voice cracking. How could I not see it? He's a master manipulator. He knows how to charm people, how to get what he wants. It's not your fault you fell for it. We talked for hours, Vanessa offering words of comfort and support. By the end of the call, I felt a little bit better, a little bit stronger.
I knew I couldn't let Ryan's actions define me. I had to move on, to reclaim my life. But first, I needed answers. I needed to understand why he had done what he did. And that's when I decided to do some digging. I started with his job. Ryan had always been vague about the specifics of his work, but he had always implied that he was a high-powered executive, a rising star in the corporate world. I decided to check him out on LinkedIn. That's when I discovered the first lie. His profile stated that he was a senior analyst, not a senior manager, as he had claimed. It was a small difference, but it was enough to raise my suspicions. I scrolled through his connections, looking for anyone who might know him. I found Cody, the friendly coworker from the dinner. I hesitated for a moment, then decided to send him a message. "Hi Cody," I wrote. "I know this is a bit out of the blue, but I was hoping you could answer a few questions about Ryan. I'm a bit confused about his role at the company. He told me he was a senior manager, but his LinkedIn profile says he's a senior analyst. Could you clarify?" To my surprise, Cody responded almost immediately. "Sabrina, I'm so sorry about what happened at dinner. Ryan can be a real jerk sometimes. As for his job, yeah, he's definitely a senior analyst. He's been telling people he's a manager? That's weird." We exchanged a few more messages, Cody cautiously revealing more and more about Ryan's true position at the company. It turned out that Ryan wasn't the rising star he claimed to be. He was a mid-level employee with a reputation for being arrogant and entitled.
He had exaggerated his accomplishments, taken credit for other people's work, and generally made himself out to be more important than he actually was. I was stunned. It was like the whole foundation of our relationship was built on lies, but the lies didn't stop there. Later that day, Vanessa called me, her voice filled with excitement. "Sabrina, you won't believe what I just found out." "What is it?" I asked, my heart pounding. "Remember how Ryan always said he had a big family dinner every Sunday?" "Yeah?" "Well, I ran into Sarah from your book club at the grocery store. She's dating Ryan's cousin. She said Ryan's family has been expecting to meet you for weeks. They thought you two were serious. They're having a birthday dinner for Ryan next weekend, and they're all expecting you to be there." I felt a surge of anger, hotter and more intense than anything I had felt before. He had not only lied to me, but he had also lied to his family about me. He had built this entire fantasy world around himself, and I had been a pawn in his game. That's when I decided to take action. I wouldn't let him get away with it. I would expose him for the liar and manipulator he truly was. I asked Vanessa to find out the details of the birthday dinner. The date, the time, the location. I needed to know everything. Then, I called Cody. "Cody," I said, "I need your help." I explained my plan to him, telling him everything I had discovered about Ryan's lies. He was shocked and disgusted. He agreed to help me, without hesitation. "I've always known Ryan was full of it," he said. "But I didn't realize how bad it was." "I'm in. What do you need me to do?" We spent the next few days meticulously planning our strategy. We needed to be careful, to make sure our plan was foolproof. We wanted to expose Ryan in a way that would leave no doubt about his true character. Finally, the day of the birthday dinner arrived. I was nervous, but also excited. I had spent the past week stealing myself. It was time for payback. I spent about $75 getting an appropriate dress and putting on makeup. I told myself I wanted to look good for myself, but I am sure Ryan would have to admit he was wrong for dumping me the previous week. I took an Uber to his parents' house and looked around for Cody. Vanessa dropped me off a block away from Ryan's parents' house. I took a deep breath and walked towards the house, my heart pounding in my chest. I could hear the sounds of laughter and music coming from inside. Ryan's mother, a warm, friendly woman named Susan, answered the door. She beamed when she saw me.
"Sabrina. Oh, honey, we've been so excited to meet you. Come in, come in." She ushered me inside, introducing me to Ryan's father, a jovial man named Tom, and his two younger sisters, Emily and Jessica. They all greeted me warmly, making me feel like part of the family. I felt a pang of guilt for what I was about to do, but I reminded myself that Ryan deserved it. Ryan was sitting in the living room, surrounded by his family and friends. He looked surprised when he saw me, his face turning pale. "Sabrina, what are you doing here?" he stammered. "I was invited," I said, my voice steady. "Your mother invited me." Susan looked confused. "But Ryan, I thought you said—" "It's okay, Mom," Ryan said, trying to regain his composure. "Sabrina and we worked things out," I smirked. "Did we?" I don't recall that conversation. The room went silent. All eyes were on us.
Ryan, I said, my voice loud and clear, there's something I think your family should know about you. I proceeded to tell them everything. His lies about his job, his exaggerations about his accomplishments, his manipulation and arrogance. I told them about the dinner, about the humiliation, about the lies he had told them about me. As I spoke, I saw the looks on their faces change from confusion to disbelief to anger. His mother's eyes filled with tears. His father's face turned red with rage. His sisters looked at him with disgust. Ryan tried to interrupt me, to deny my accusations, but I wouldn't let him. I had waited too long for this moment. I wasn't going to let his crocodile tears fool me. "And that's not all," I said, taking a deep breath. "There's someone else here who can confirm everything I've said." I nodded towards the door.
Everyone turned to see Cody standing there, looking nervous but determined. "Cody," Ryan said, his voice trembling. "What are you doing here?" Cody stepped forward. "I'm here to tell the truth, Ryan." "I'm here to tell the truth, Ryan. Everything Sabrina said is true. You've been lying to everyone for years. You're not the person you pretend to be." Cody then proceeded to give specific examples of Ryan's lies and manipulations, backing up everything I had said. The room was filled with tension, the air thick with anger and betrayal. Finally, Ryan's father stood up. He was a large man, his face red with fury. He loomed over Ryan, his voice booming. "Is this true? Ryan?" he demanded. "Have you been lying to us all this time?" Ryan couldn't meet his father's gaze. He hung his head in shame. I just wanted to impress you," he mumbled. "I wanted you to be proud of me." "Proud of you," his father roared. "I'm ashamed of you."
You're a liar and a cheat. Get out of my house. I don't want to see you again. Ryan's mother started to cry. How could you do this, Ryan? She sobbed. How could you lie to us like this? His sisters looked at him with disgust. We're done with you, Ryan, Emily said. You're not our brother anymore. Ryan stood there alone and humiliated. He looked at me, his eyes filled with hatred. This is all your fault, Sabrina, he said, his voice shaking with rage. You ruined my life. I just smirked. No, Ryan, I said. You ruined your own life. I just exposed the truth. With that, I turned and walked out of the house, Cody following close behind. As we walked away, I could hear the sounds of shouting and crying coming from inside. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. Ryan's life imploded. He was fired from his job after Cody reported his lies to the company. His family disowned him.
He was forced to move back in with his parents, a fate he had always dreaded. He didn't take it well. He started lashing out, posting angry messages on social media, blaming me for everything that had happened. He even showed up at my apartment one night, banging on my door and screaming threats. I called the police, and they took him away. Following the incident, Ryan's behavior escalated. He showed up at my house again, posted my address online, and threatened Cody. He lost all sense of reason, his anger consuming him. His parents finally had enough. They cut him off financially and told him to leave their house. He moved in with his uncle in another state, hoping to start over. Meanwhile, my life started to get back on track. I received apologies from Ryan's family, who were grateful that I had exposed his lies.
I formed an unexpected friendship with Cody, who turned out to be a genuinely kind and supportive person. I focused on my studies, determined to achieve my dreams of becoming a lawyer. I started dating again, but I was much more cautious this time. I had learned a valuable lesson about trusting my instincts and not letting myself be blinded by false promises. I was grateful to be out of that relationship. I deserved better, and I knew it. One evening, about 6 months after the birthday dinner fiasco, I received a message from Cody. "Hey, Sabrina," he wrote. "I just wanted to let you know that I heard from Ryan's family. He's still living with his uncle, and he's apparently trying to get his life back on track. He's got a low-paying job, but he's going to therapy and trying to make amends." I felt a flicker of satisfaction, but mostly, I just felt relief. It was over.
I could finally put it behind me and move on. I wrote back to Cody. Thanks for letting me know, I said. I hope he gets the help he needs. I closed my laptop, took a deep breath, and smiled. I had survived. I had emerged from the ashes, stronger and wiser. I learned that sometimes the people we think we know best are the ones who are hiding the most, but I also learned that truth always has a way of coming to light, and that justice, even delayed, can be incredibly sweet. It would take some time, but I knew that I could find a man who truly appreciated me. And that's the story of how my boyfriend dumped me at a fancy dinner, how I discovered his web of lies, and how I exposed him to his family and friends. It was a painful experience, but it taught me a lot about myself and about the importance of standing up for what I believe in.
And that's when I realized that sometimes the greatest revenge is simply living well and refusing to let someone else define your worth. I was happy, and I was thriving. I was thankful to have moved past Ryan and started a new chapter of my life. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to my channel for more tales of heartbreak, revenge, and unexpected twists. You won't regret it.